The US has imposed a new 19% tariff rate on Malaysia, a 6 percentage point reduction from the 25% reciprocal tariff announced last month. Following this, several Pakatan Harapan leaders praised Anwar for successfully negotiating with Trump. Meanwhile, the feud between Puad Zarkashi and Saravanan continues. Stay tuned to find out what they said. United States President Donald Trump has imposed a new 19% tariff rate on Malaysia. The new tariff rate, which takes effect August 7th, is down from the 25% announced in July. In a White House fact sheet, Trump's administration said the new order signed yesterday modified reciprocal tariff rates for certain countries, and it aims to further address its exploding annual U.S. goods trade deficits. The White House said that Trump has committed that the U.S. will do everything possible to get approvals quickly, professionally, and routinely to bring back manufacturing jobs for Americans. The same 19% rate was applied to several Southeast Asian nations, including Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, and the Philippines. For Cambodia and Thailand, the lower rate, which is down from the previous 36% imposed, comes after both countries agreed to an immediate ceasefire in their border conflict. This was following Trump's warning that continued fighting would prevent any trade agreements with either nation. Yesterday, Prime Minister Anwar had, during the tabling of the 13th Malaysia Plan, announced that Trump would be unveiling the new rates today. He said that this followed a conversation with Trump at 6 a.m. Anwar had expressed hope that it would not burden Malaysia's economy. Following news on the reduction of the tariff, several Pakatan Harapan leaders said it is proof of Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's capability and strategy. DAP National Policy Director Chan Fung Hin and PKR MP Sim Zin praised Anwar for successfully negotiating the rate with US President Donald Trump. Chan, who is also the Deputy Plantation and Commodities Minister, said the revision had brought relief to many Malaysian industries. He added that the revised rate of 19% proves that Anwar's steady diplomacy and strategic engagements are bearing fruit. He said our rubber glove manufacturers and furniture makers now enjoy a more level playing field with their ASEAN peers. Similarly, Sim said Anwar and the Investment, Trade and Industry Ministry negotiating teams must be credited for their efforts to bring down the tariffs. According to the Bayan Baru MP, the revision will allow Malaysia to maintain its competitive advantage in the region as other major ASEAN countries are also getting similar rates. He added that Malaysia will stand to benefit from this because our fundamentals, such as the rule of law, political stability, infrastructure, and educated workforce will stand out. As a result, he said when investors want to invest in ASEAN, they will still consider Malaysia as their preferred destination due to our fundamentals. The clash between Umno Supreme Council member Puad Zarkashi and MIC Deputy President M Saravanan continued today, with Puad bringing up events from the last general election. In a post on Facebook, Puad accused Saravanan of playing both sides. He pointed to Saravanan's statutory declaration, backing Muhyiddin Yassin as Prime Minister then, despite an earlier SD pledging support for BN. Puad claimed that Saravanan's support for Muhyiddin was driven by a hunger for positions, just as its withdrawal was. He reminded Saravanan that ahead of GE15, all BN candidates were required to sign SDs containing a clause that slapped a 100 million ringgit penalty on any MP who defected. Puad also pointed out that BN candidates had agreed to empower the party leadership to negotiate the formation of a new government. While Puad welcomed Saravanan's recent assertion that MIC backs the unity government for the sake of stability, he questioned the MIC leaders' frustration over posts. He then urged MIC to stay in BN and regain its influence. In response, Saravanan dismissed Puad's remarks, saying he was not even part of the BN Supreme Council then and didn't know what really happened behind closed doors. Speaking to Malaysia Kini, he explained that the SDs supporting Muhyiddin had been signed amid deep uncertainty and recalled UMNO's no Anwar, no DAP stance. As for the BN SDs, Saravanan advised Puad to revisit the document, pointing out that it lacked endorsement from the BN Council. Saravanan also said that his comments in Utusan Malaysia were simply a recounting of events, not a fresh demand. Suhakam had called on the government to establish and implement a formal diversion policy for children in conflict with the law. This will be in collaboration with stakeholders such as the police, welfare services, schools, and the judiciary. Its call came following the 2-day remand of a 14-year-old kelas perolehan student that had assaulted his teacher. In a statement this morning, Suhakam said that a diversion mechanism allows children accused of minor or non-violent offences to be redirected away from the criminal justice system into community-based programs. The programs would be focused on education, counselling, and behavioural support. Suhakam's Children's Commissioner Farah Nini Dusuki said this approach reduces stigma and addresses deeper issues like trauma, neglect, and mental health. She said such a policy is not a denial of accountability, but a shift towards restorative and rehabilitative justice, which is proven to be more effective and humane for children. She added that the incident should spark reflection on school systems, asking if students have proper access to mental health care and if teachers are trained to handle conflict and trauma. She stressed that Suhakam stands in solidarity with the teacher involved and condemns all forms of violence. However, she said children in conflict with the law must be treated in a manner that upholds their dignity, rights, and potential for rehabilitation. She said this is guaranteed under the Child Act 2001 and Malaysia's international commitments, including the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on November 20, 1989. A lawyer for whistleblower Albert Tay has written to Inspector General of Police Khalid Ismail. This was to seek clarification on the status of a police investigation into a report lodged more than 5 months ago against Arifin Arif. According to the letter cited by Malaysia Kini, lawyer Mahajot Singh said his client had filed a report against Arifin, the son-in-law of Sabah Governor Musa Aman, on February 6. However, he said his client has not received any response or updates on the investigation status as of July 7th. This is despite several letters being sent in accordance with procedures under Section 107A of the Criminal Procedure Code. Previously, Malaysia Kini reported that the businessperson turned whistleblower claimed that Arifin had offered him a settlement. Arifin denied the allegation and lodged a police report on February 5th, claiming that he had been wrongly accused. In turn, the whistleblower filed a police report against Arifin the next morning, claiming the latter had lodged a false report. But with no movement on the case, Tay lodged a complaint with the Independent Police Conduct Commission on July 8th. He was then summoned to Dangwangi Police Station on July 15 to give a statement. However, his lawyer said that 2 weeks had passed since the statement was recorded, with no further communication from the authorities. If you like the stories we produce, consider supporting us by subscribing to Malaysia Kini. Click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on your screen to subscribe. Are street protests a tool for the people to voice out their opinions, or is it just part of the playbook for old-school politicians? In the latest episode of KiniTV's podcast Explain Sikit Kini, veteran activist Hishamuddin Rais and Associate Professor Dr. Koo Ying Hui break down what's really changed from the fiery days of Reformasi to today's Turun Anwar rallies. They took a look at who's really driving today's street protests and whether the protests are a move to go against the current government or a necessary outlet for the public to voice their demands so it can be heard. They explained that protests are more than just taking to the streets. It's part of democracy, and sometimes it's the only outlet left when institutions fail.
Ada satu teori, dia macam ni. Apabila kamu ramai-ramai, kamu kurang takut. Ini betul. Awak ingat saya ni berani sangat ke? Saya juga takut juga. Tapi apabila 10 orang, 15 orang, jadi saya jadi... Nampak tak? Ada psikologinya di situ. Jadi di sini memainkan peranan penting. Jadi dalam masa yang sama juga seperti Dr. Yin kata, apabila saya kena tangkap, saya ditangkap kali pertama tu saya tak takut. Kalau saya tangkap seorang-seorang, saya takut. Tapi ni saya serang, dalam sel saya tu ada 4 orang kawan-kawan geng. Seperti pindah daripada bilik kolej ke bilik sel. Itu saja. Jadi ini pengalaman.
Masa zaman Mahathir di mana demo tidak dibenarkan. Tapi dia telah turun padam. Masa zaman Bersih dan sekarang ni himpunan Turun Anwar. Saya rasa apa yang tadi disoalkan tentang sosok pemerintahan tu, itu bukan yang paling utama kita lihat, tetapi kita lihat terutamanya masa himpunan Bersih, rakyat Malaysia telah normalize dengan protes yang banyak kali, 5 kali ya.
Start bersih sebenarnya.
Ya, betul. Ya, orang sudah biasa dengan bersih. Dan satu lagi yang kita kena ingat adalah dulunya fear itu tahap yang sangat tinggi.
Betul,
ya. Jadi kalau masa bersih ramai-ramai turun, ada mindset di mana kalau saya kena tangkap, kawan-kawan kena tangkap bersama-sama.
Ya, betul.
Jadi fear itu sudah turun.
Mundur.
Ya. Tapi yang sekarang ni kalau kita lihat Perdana Menteri kita Anwar Ibrahim di mana dia adalah bapa reformasi dan sebagainya. Dan kenapa ucapan bahawa himpunan aman harus dibenarkan dan sebagainya, itu saya rasa dari segi lensa politik itu yang harus diucapkan.
Catch the full podcast episode at KiniTv.com. Now on to other news. Yesterday, the Deputy Minister for the Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Ministry, Fuzia Saleh, said that although local rice is now in good supply, public demand for it remains low. She noted that previously there had been complaints over its supply and said that it may have been overstated. We asked voters what they thought about the issue. Let's take a look. 52% believe that this shows that not everyone is actually burdened by it. 25% said that there could be other reasons why people aren't buying. 20% said they still felt that it was hard to find supply of local rice. Some voters raised the issue of quality and said that this may be why there was no demand for it. Another voter said that they could only find imported rice. What are your thoughts on this? Share your views in the comment section below. That is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm Camelia. Thanks for watching.